All right. Good morning or good afternoon, maybe, depending on where you are. I'm Nathan Meeson, your host today. And today we're going to discuss mastering 90. And we're going to go specifically over the issues revolving around 90. It's going to be inspired by EOS. So if you are utilizing EOS, which is the entrepreneurial operating system, that is definitely going to be your best friend here. Now, keep in mind, if you are using 90, that's perfectly fine too. Um, just keep in mind the verbiage may be a little bit different, but the objective is going to be the same. So if you do have any questions, I'm going to be actually monitoring you all on a Q&A box. So let me go ahead and open that chat for us here. Now I'm bringing it to this screen over here so I can see it actually. So if you have any questions or comments or concerns in regards to anything we talked about today, please feel free to let me know and I'll try to address them all as they come in order. That being said, let me go to my next slide if I can get things together here. I'm in Chicago today, everybody. Usually I'm in California where everything is a little bit more structured as far as my seating arrangement, but we're working with it today. So hopefully everybody can hear me clearly. Looks like my mic is on, so awesome. All right, so next slide here. So that's me, Nathan. I'm the senior software trainer here at 90. I've been with the organization since 2021, and I've been practicing EOS and also utilizing multiple BOS, if that makes sense. So BOS, if you're not familiar with that, that's their business operating systems. So some users may be utilizing, Pinnacle, Empire, 90, and also EOS operating systems. So like I said, the list goes on. There's a different kind of, it was a whole bunch of different types of BOSs out there. So we can, customize it to your needs too as well if necessary. If you are an admin on account, speaking of that, you can customize the language too as well to fit your team's needs. If you need to go through that, just let me know. I do conduct the webinars here at 90 from the introductory courses, which covers the accountability tools and also the organizational tools. So if you're not familiar with that or have new users that are involved with the software, have them chime into those classes. They will be on our website, so feel free to register for those classes anytime. They'll be hosted Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Well, not this Thursday because we're having a mastery. But that being said, we do have cohorts available too as well. So if you are new to the software and you're trying to implement 90 into your organization or even cascade your leadership information to your departmental meetings, we have courses for that too as well. Implementing takes place every 6 weeks. Cascading is every 4 weeks. I work with a variety of different clients, so I'm going to give you the best practices based off of what I know. I'm not a coach. I'm not an implementer. I'm a software trainer, so I'm going to show you how to utilize the software and give you the best benefits there. That being said, I like to go on adventures. Right now I'm in Chicago, doing a couple of runs. I run a little bit, mostly my mouth. But that being said, I do like to go to the gym. I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat any type of meats, not even fish. And chicken wings used to be the thing, but it's a thing of the past for me now. Anyway, let's see here. Long story short, who is 90D? All right, so we are an innovative cloud-based business operating system. It's going to help you focus, align, and thrive. Okay, so just keep you a heads up too. I was a client success manager, so I may have spoken with you at some point. If you're not new here. And I transitioned to the educational field, and I'll be diving a little bit deep into the tool. But again, not as an implementer. So let's go ahead and move forward. Okay, so we talked about the software as far as what it is. Something if you want to point out too as well, if I can get to my next slide here, is something you should reference is What the Heck is BOS? That is a book that you should read, especially if you're new to the software. It definitely helps put you on the right path. It gives you comprehensive business management frameworks designed to help, entrepreneurs and leaders such as yourself to run your companies more effectively, and also present this to your employees too as well. So that can definitely be a help there. That being said, it's comprised of 6 key components. This is the EOS model here. Last month, actually, we talked about the process feature and things around that nature. But today we're going to talk about issues. So you'll see it there in the bottom left-hand corner, issues, IDSing. We have some new features too as well, so I'm going to dive into that a little bit too as well. And if you have any questions, like I said before, there, the Q&A box, feel free to ask those questions. I'll be monitoring it here as much as I can. and try to address them as needed. All right. So that being said, don't worry about this. This is your chat bubble here in the bottom right hand corner. So you'll find that in the bottom right hand corner of your page there. So whenever you log into your account, you should have that activated. You may have it blocked depending on which browser you're using it. So make sure you unblock that if you want to chat with us from the support staff. It gives you a variety of things you can do with us, like getting real-time data uploaded, passwords changes. You want to have information uploaded into the software, such as accountability charts, scorecard measurables, things like that. They will be able to help you out in that case. Also, too, with that, they also give you links out to all of our different offers that we have. So I mentioned earlier that we have cohorts and other introductory courses, webinars, things like that. But if you don't have time to participate in those, because those are all live action, you can talk with me back and forth. We do have video tutorials, step-by-step direction on how to execute different tasks, things like that. And it's always being updated too with new features. Speaking of new features, any type of product releases will be listed in there too as well. So feel free to look in there and dive in. If you're searching for something specific to a need of yours, just type it in the search box and someone will be able to point you in the right direction. And by the way, they are available 7 days a week too as well, depending on when you message them anyway. But just keep in mind, they'll always be there for you. It is free for you to utilize, so definitely take advantage of it if you can. All right, but you can always talk to us. We're always here to help. All right. So that being said, ask us whatever questions you need, things like that. And I'm going to go ahead and push through this information real quick. All right, and there's that home button there. All right, so for the agenda today, just give you a heads up. This is going to be an engaging, hopefully 2, 3, 4. It looks like we have a lot of people here conversation. So feel free to ask those questions. I won't hesitate to try to get to them as soon as possible. But today we're going to be managing issues, issue strategies, prioritization techniques, and then we're going to go into that optional feature that you can activate on your account. Okay, so just keep in mind with these activation features, your permissions may play a vital role here. So maybe you want to let your manager or admin know about what's going on here, and then maybe they can update it for you and unlock those features for you if they're not already unlocked for you. All right. So that being said, what are issues? All right. So everyone has their thoughts about what issues are, but in reference to EOS, we're not talking about magazines here or my issues with my shoes being too small or whatever the case may be. We're talking about issues that are obstacles in reference to your organization, your business, challenges, problems that may hinder your organization's progress from preventing the succession of those goals there. Okay. So when it comes to managing those issues, you have a few common ones that you want to address here. All right, so you have my issues here. I have a little picture there that shows you exactly where the issues are. It shows my short-term issues there. We're going to go through all the information too if you're not familiar with issues. But like I said before, it's any kind of blockers. Issues are anything that you want to bring to the table or to the attention of the team itself. So that being said, issues, what about them? So you have some common issues. You have operational challenges. So lack of visibility. What else do you have? You have miscommunication. You have inefficient tracking, resource allocations, things like that. So going back up to the top, when it comes to, say, for example, lack of visibility, it can be difficult to have that clear overview on all the issues and tasks from different departments within the organization. So presenting those issues, not even in a standard format, just pushing them out there. We'll put it on the table for us to kind of discuss and go through it when we go in that IDS process. And if you're not familiar with IDS, that's your a way to identify, discuss, and solve all the issues within your team. And we're going to dive into that too a little bit more. But another thing when it comes to these common challenges is that miscommunication will definitely take part. Poor communication between reports and also departments, for that matter, can lead to misunderstandings, duplications of efforts, and also unresolved issues. And when I say departments, I mean like different teams that you may have established within your organization. So you may have a sales team and they may have their set of issues, and you may have your operations team and their set of issues, right? But you may have your leadership team, and both of those teams are fall into one centralized location, right? So you want to kind of separate them so every issue will be referencing a specific team or department in your case. All right. So more challenges, inefficient tracking. So with that, without a centralized system, issues may get lost in the shuffle, leading to delayed responses and also to missed deadlines. So that's why I was saying allocating your resources to specific teams. Maybe we can cascade the information or even merge it or move it into another meeting. And I'll show you how to do that too as well once we get to that section of our webinar here. Now, when it comes to resource allocations, this is going to allocate the right resources to the right tasks, and issues can be challenging, especially when there's no clear system for prioritization. Prioritization is definitely going to be key here because a lot of times we get caught up in our own issues when referencing our team. So we want to make sure that we're figuring out what's going to be the most important thing that we supposed to attack as a team as our priority for that specific quarter, that week, or even that year for that month. So there's two different types of issues. We'll go over that, but just to give you a synopsis there, it's going to be a long-term and also a short-term issue, right? And all of this right here can lead to missed opportunities. So issues are not managed effectively. They may lead to missed opportunities, and this can hinder the innovation of growth and also improvements within oneself and also the team too as well. So with that being said, something that you want to ask yourself in reference to this is, in reference to these common challenges, is that, how have they impacted your productivity, and what were some of the consequences when you didn't have your issues aligned and addressed with your team? So that's something for you to answer. You don't have to answer here, but if you want to share your thoughts with everybody here on the webinar today, feel free to do so. Also, this will be placed on YouTube, so feel free to comment there too as well if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. All right, so the takeaways from this is by understanding the common challenges and also the potential impact of poor issue management, we can appreciate the importance of implementing effective issue solving strategies with these prioritization techniques. So that being said, I'm going to dive into the actual software right now and kind of show you around on how to create your issues and identify them too as well. So let me go ahead and shrink this page up a little bit. Boop. And then we're going to come over here to another tab. If I can find my cursor, there it is. All right, so that being said, initially, when you start off on this page here. This is your My 90 page, right? It's comprised of the to-dos, your rocks, your scorecard metrics, and also your milestone if you have that listed there. But we are talking about issues, which is located all the way on the left-hand side. You'll never find your issues on this particular page because it's going to be a team effort to get them resolved. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and click issues here on the tab there. That toolbar is going to be displaying an exclamation point. You can close this too as well. So if you don't want to have the information displayed, you can collapse that detail and see the issues tab there. Okay, that icon will remain there static for you. All right, so that being said, creating issues, like I said, is pretty simple. And you want to have as many issues as you can going into these meetings, everyone. You think of issues as anything that comes to your mind. They can be ideas too for the present or even the future as well. And to dive into that, we have the short term, like I mentioned earlier, and we also have the long-term issues. Short-term issues are the prioritization issue, the issue that we want to prioritize for that specific quarter. When it comes to long-term, though, these issues are going to live on the vision traction organizer. So they'll be in a part-on list there, ready for you to attack or address maybe in another quarter or whenever it's going to be relevant. All right, so the first things first, whenever you're creating an issue here, is you're going to click create here in the top right-hand corner. By the way, this button is going to follow you throughout the entirety of the software. So anytime you need to create any type of accountability, you can click there. It will drop it directly into the issue section if you are on that page, and vice versa for like to-do things like that. But essentially, it's going to default to your name. And you're just going to name that issue whatever you want it to be. So say, for example, we're worried about how to create an issue. We're going to say here, creating let's see, how to create. What issue? All right, let's see here. If you don't have any issues, by the way, that's the issue in itself. So you should have some issues going into your meeting. Let me go ahead and create an issue. I have issues. There's a cat outside my door. I have an issue with this cat. Anyway, so we're going to go directly into the short-term issues list. There's a drop down here if you want to make it long-term. But if you feel like you can address this with your team this particular quarter, we're going to bring it into the short term. And when we get into the ideas process while we're in our level 10 meeting, maybe we may decide, hey, let's go ahead and push this to the right a little bit, and we can solve it maybe another quarter. But it will still be on the issues list. Remember, these are going to be your ideas, blockers, things that you want to collaborate with in this location. Now, when it comes to the description here, you're going to put in all the information that's going to be referencing the issue at hand. Okay. So you don't have to go into full detail because you're starting the initiation process, but you're going to give your team members kind of a synopsis of what you're expecting. And then from there, once you get into the meeting itself, you can kind of go over it, pose questions, take people's thoughts, and then come up with an action plan. So here, identify issues within the team. Okay. So it's just as simple as that. Just keep in mind too, this is a rich text editor. So if you want to adjust this up, there is a little button here that allows you to adjust it up with bold letters, bullet points, all that great stuff to make it look clear and concise for everybody. Now, when it comes down a little bit further, you have this who section. So this is going to be an open text location where you put the person, you can put a place, you can put a thing in this location. It is open text. Even if you have users in the software, you can place those individuals into there. So you can just type the name in there, and they will be notified. But if they're part of that meeting, we know exactly who this issue is referencing. You can also delete that information and put it in places too as well if you want to do that. But essentially, anytime you create an issue, these are not going to be private. All right, so they're going to be belonging to a specific team or teams for that matter. So there is a drop down menu here. If you have multiple teams, you can't select multiple teams for that issue to be living in. Just keep in mind, it's going to be an issue specifically for that team. You're not solving it for any other team unless it's on your team itself. I felt like I said team a lot of time. But essentially, this is going to go into the leadership team here, and then we'll add any supporting documents to help elaborate on this issue if we have some. Okay. Now, keep in mind, this issue is going to be part of the team. So anyone who's involved in this leadership team, for that matter, they can see that issue. And if they want to address it, they can just click into it, add their notes in there. I would suggest they put in their name or something like that. But essentially, you're going to do this as a team. So as a best practice, when you're addressing issues, you're not doing it from this landing page. You're going to go into your level team meeting. You're going to go in there with your team, and you're going to have a conversation, start a discussion, come up with a resolve, and maybe an action plan to hold someone accountable for getting whatever task needs to be done. Okay. Now, with issues too, you don't only just create maybe to-dos from there. So, for example, you have an issue with your team, you have a to-do to create additional issues there, right? It could be a to-do, but it can also be a rock or an ongoing thing that may be happening within that process there. So, it's definitely going to depend on your team itself, okay? So, let me go back into my slide real quick. I'm going to find my cursor again. There it is. And again, if you have questions, comments, concerns, feel free to drop them in, and I got you covered. We talked about this already. Go on to the next slide, navigating issues. All right, so also too, with that, you can prioritize the issues, and you can only do this through your level 10 meeting itself. So when you're prioritizing the issues, typically there's going to be a facilitator that's going to be leading you and guiding you through the meeting, kind of keeping you off from going on tangents. That same thing applies here once you get into the level 10 meeting. So it doesn't matter who's actually leading the meeting, but that person who's in charge, they should be saying, hey, you know what, let's select the top 3 issues, and we'll talk about these first because they're going to be a prioritization for the quarter. So when addressing issues, that process is going to include identifying. That's just going to be regularly gathering input from team members to identify issues and concerns across various tasks and things like that around the organization. From there, we'll be discussing those issues while we're in that meeting too as well. So this is going to bring these issues to the leadership team's attention or your departmental team, depending on where that issue is located at. And this is going to be found in your meeting post. So this is where we're going to have those discussions in your level 10 meetings, weekly meetings, to discuss those and also categorize them to prioritize them, right? And then speaking of prioritizing issues, you'll be ranking those issues based on their impact and also their urgency. So this is going to determine the one that should be addressed first. And, usually you're doing an IDS process. So solving would come directly after discussing, but you want to prioritize them sometimes too as well, depending on how many issues you have within that team. So solving those issues is going to be developing that action plan. So you'll be filling out that description, assigning responsibilities to resolve that issue once it has been identified. All right. So now, once it has been identified and you kind of come up with an action plan, then you're going to track the information. So you'll monitor the progress of the issue involving whether or not it's been, converted maybe into a to-do or a rock, whatever the case might be. But we're going to come back to that issue if necessary within the post of our meeting. Okay. Now, let me show you how to prioritize these issues real quick. Someone had that question. So I'm going to go into the software once again. I'm going to hit the escape button to get out of this menu here and wait for this thing to get out of my way so I can actually hit the button over here. There you go. All right. So when it comes to issues and prioritization, like you can't do that from this page here in particular as the facilitator. So you're to come over to the left-hand side, and this is going to be when you start conducting your meeting. So we're to come over here to the little button there. We're going to click on meetings. And then as a facilitator, that individual is going to click start meeting in the top right-hand corner. And we're going to click begin. So while we're in the meeting as a team, everyone is diving into the meeting. We're all participating, and we get into the IDS section of the level 10 agenda, right? It brings us directly into the short-term issues because that's where we're prioritizing for that specific quarter. That being said, prioritization, like I said, is key. And the facilitator typically is going to manage this information. Essentially, we could just go in there and start off with number one, but maybe it's not referencing this week. Maybe it's not that as important as number, say, for example, 4. I have issues, right? So that being said, top right-hand corner, there's a select top 3 issues button. So once I click there, it turns this button to a little circle, and it allows me to choose whatever issue I want. So I can start off with number 4. It doesn't matter the order as long as I pick 3. And once I do that, it's going to put it in that numerical order. And then you can start your IDS process starting here with number 1. Okay, so click it to the title there. You can start building out that information with the discussion plan, and, inciting collaborations between your teams. And come up with some kind of resolve. Okay, and then from there, you just follow that message there. You're going to solve the issue. You're going to track the information through either to-do, rock, or mark it off as discussed. Now, if you do get the issue resolved, there's going to be a checkbox here that will mark it off as such. So you can just clear the issues too as well. They will close out at the conclusion of the meeting. So don't worry about archiving so much here. But say, for example, if there is another action plan that needs to take place during this meeting, in the top right-hand corner, there's a more actions button available for you. So when you click there, it's going to give you some options to create to-dos from that issue. And when you do that, it'll pull in all the detail that you've put into this description here. So right here in the description, all the information here, even comments, if you have comments there, will be listed in that to-do. So same thing's going to apply here. So say, for example, I do to-do, pulls in all the details and anything that you want to add to it. Just keep in mind, it's going to default to your name. So if you have multiple people in this meeting and you want to assign it to that individual, this is going to be the best time to do that because this person is available. I'm going to say, hey, Chris, I'm going to give you this to-do to, create some issues or something like that. If I want to participate in there, I can add my name to it, and both of us will have that to-do revolving around an issue. And, to-dos are 7-day action items. So we'll try to get that done before our next poll, our next meeting next week. And if we can, that's awesome. If we don't get it completed, there may be another issue there. So it kind of goes back in circle if necessary. All right. So once I click OK, that information goes directly to that individual's to-do list, and they'll be having that on their list within their team or meeting. All right. Same thing applies for the rocks, cascading messages. So if you want to cascade this information to another team, say, for example, you want to share the issue with another team, you have the ability to do that. Just click on cascade there. You're going to have your initial team selected, but if you have multiple teams, you can share that or cascade that issue directly there. This gives them access to make updates to that issue if necessary. I only have one team right now, but if you have multiple ones, they will be down there to be selected. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. And you don't always have to come to this more actions button either. You can always right-click on the issue and you have the same information allotted for you. Rocks can be created from there too as well. I didn't talk about that. So if you want to create a rock around it, it's going to push itself 90 days out from today's date. So just keep that in mind, pull in all the information. Everything's going to be on track. So it's going to be up to the person who's accountable to make the necessary changes and adjustments to that specific issue. Okay. Coming down a little bit further, it just going into how to create a rock. So just keep in mind, it's pulling in all the information of the issue. That's why it's very important to have the discussion around this location, the description, put as much detail into it as possible. That way that person can have, or the person who's going to be accountable for the issue to get resolved, have enough resources to fulfill their task. All right. So that being said, we're going to dive into issue strategies. We don't really have to talk about this here. Let's go back into the actual slide. Click on slideshow, and then we'll dive into the next one. All right. So issue strategies, effective issue solving. So we talked about one way to prioritize the issue, right? We talked about, the 1, 2, 3 method. That facilitator is going to go in there and they're going to say, hey, these are the issues we can discuss this week. These are going to be a priority. So 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter the order, like I said before. But you also have the show prioritization method, which we're going to dive into. And then you have set desired solve rate too as well. We'll talk about that too as well. And these are features that you may have to activate if it has not been activated in your account just yet. That being said, I made a little acronym here. By the way, I'm not a coach, so that's why I have a Y in the bottom. So I'm talking about maintaining. When I say maintain, I'm talking about maintaining project timelines and meet those deadlines in association with it for those strategies going to follow with the issue process. And then from there, you're going to optimize those resources allocation to improve the efficiency of your team. And then you'll drive continuous improvement and innovation with your team, because we're having collaboration, we're working together, we're pushing issues to other teams that may be able to address that information. So it's going to incite a little bit more innovation within those teams. And that can help identify and address challenges before they escalate into a whole nother level. And that will kind of help you, foster a proactive and productive work culture, because now we're getting things done with that. So the why, like I said, I wanted to make a kind of acronym. It says modify, but the why doesn't mean anything. So if you have anything for that, feel free to drop it down and I can add it to it maybe later on, something like that. Anyway, long story short, you're going to take that information into effect. So prioritization, like I said before, is definitely key. Maybe the 1, 2, 3 is not working for you all because maybe you have a ton of issues to work with. Remember, you want to have as many issues as possible going into the level 10 meeting. That being said, I said earlier that we have the show prioritization method, and we also have the select the desired solve rate. And this got the voting feature. We're going to talk about that a little later too. So let me go ahead and dive back into the software real quick, and we'll talk about the prioritization. All right. So you may notice it's not here. So what I want to do, I'm going to close this out. I'm going to show you. Well, actually, I can do it from this meeting. So in the top right-hand corner, you have Open IDS section in the level 10 meeting. It's going to show you settings here. So I'm going to go ahead and click that little gear box in the top right-hand corner there. So this is going to allow me to click this checkbox. So this allows me to activate that show prioritization method. So when I click save, you'll see these drop-down menus on the right-hand side of the title. So if the issue belongs to me, if I'm accountable for the issue, even if I'm not, maybe I feel like it's a priority, I can hit the drop-down menu here and select 1 through 5, okay, to see exactly which issues I think we should prioritize this particular meeting. All right, so that being said, I should be only prioritizing my own issue. Now, the difference between these numbers is that anything that's listed there as a 5, that tells everyone on your team that, hey, I'm trying to resolve this information today, all right, if we can, all right? So, because you may have a plethora of different files there. If everyone here, let me go ahead and close this out. If everyone here has a 5, that's when the facilitator will kind of step in and say, you know what, I'm going to select the top 3, and we're just going to choose the 5 that are going to matter to the most right now, and we'll just go in that order. But if that isn't the case, you can have different numbers on each one of these issues here. That being said, 5, like I said before, we are definitely trying to solve those issues today. In number 4, anything you see, if you see a 4 there, that means you're ideally trying to solve them today. 3s, if we have time, we're going to go ahead and try to solve that issue too as well. Remember, you have a 60-minute window here. Depending on the type of meeting that you're conducting in departmentals, typically they are 30-minute meetings, so you may not have time to resolve them today, but if we can get to them, we will. And number 2s, if you have any 2s there, that means you don't necessarily need to solve it, but we should definitely try to solve it soon. So those issues can definitely come from a 2 and be upgraded to a 3 depending on the time frame. And then anything after 1, those are not necessarily urgent issues, but it would be good to solve them in the near term. So these numbers, they kind of fluctuate as the week goes by, right? So if I come over here, say for example, we want to upgrade this one, it may be a 2 now because it's getting closer to a specific deadline, things like that. We can upgrade the information. And then from there, we'll click the hashtag and it'll put them all in numerical order. And then as easy as that, we can start our ideas process here, starting off with number 5, and then going down the list of those, that information there. Okay. So it makes things a little bit more easier to manage. Now, that being said, there was another feature here too as well. So if I click that gearbox once again, we have the set desired solve rate. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. Now I'm going to give you an initial number here, 25%. Okay. So you guys change it to whatever you see fit, but this is going to help you maximize your time and workflow within your meeting. So say, for example, you set it to 25%. It's telling you that you need to have 25% of your issues completed every single time you run through your level 10 meeting, okay, or weekly meeting. So getting those done will give you that much closer to that percentage there. You can see the information listed there, letting you know how close you are to that solve rate. All right. So this kind of keeps you on task and also holds people from going on tangents too as well. So this is a really cool feature that you can keep here, you can monitor, and also see how productive your weeks are. So this information will be available in the recap of your level 10 meeting. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Any questions? No questions? Good. All right, cool. So that being said, let's go back into the actual slideshow presentation. So you know how to activate this feature simply as a manager or a manager or above on the team. Let me find my cursor. You'll click this gearbox in the top right-hand corner. You'll show the prioritization method. You'll select the desired solve rate. And like I said before, this can be changed if you want to. Just make sure you click save in the bottom right-hand corner there. Okay. All right. Going back into the slideshow. All right. So we have this information here. This is not an EOS acronym. This is my own acronym, by the way, so don't take that to heart. But, it does cover other things that you should be going over within your solving to make your solving efforts more effective there. All right, so this is the new feature that we have unlocked for you all. So this is an optional feature, but you will have to be an admin or above to activate this feature here. This is the issues voting. So this is going to let your voice be heard within the organization, because sometimes issues can definitely fall to the wayside, right? And you may be kind of shy to voice your issue, and it keeps on getting pushed down the line week to week, and you never get that issue resolved. So this is what's going to help out with that. That being said, this will allow you to cast votes on specific matters collectively and prioritize them for discussion in a meeting. And this approach can ensure that all perspectives are considered regarding the most critical issues to address. All right. So to activate this feature is not as simple as going into that gearbox. So let me go ahead and show you how to do that. So let me go ahead and hit escape there. And we're going to go over to our cursor. There it is right there. Boom. All right, so again, clicking that gearbox here, we can't activate this feature here. So we're going to go ahead and cancel that, and we're going to actually suspend this meeting. We'll come back to it. To activate that feature, you have to go into the settings feature of the agenda here, or the toolbar. So I'm going to come down to the very bottom here, and I'm going to expand my toolbar real quick so you can see exactly where I'm at. So there's that little gearbox once again. I'm going to click on settings here. And then I'm going to come over to company settings, and I'm going to come into the configuration section. So once I click there, I'll scroll down a little bit further, and I'm going to look for issue. Okay, so the prioritization is already activated for that, but now we can activate the voting feature. Okay, so this is going to allow us to have that voting feature. Now, keep in mind, this is not available outside of the level 10 meeting itself. So if I go into the issue section here, I cannot see any kind of voting methods here at all. I can click into this gearbox here, and we see it's already activated, but there's no feature for us to look at. So in order to utilize this feature, we have to actually do this through the level 10 meeting. All right, so I'm going to come over here to the meeting itself. We're going to go back into meetings. We'll go ahead and collapse this here. And then we're going to just continue this meeting on. Okay, so in this location here, we have this thumbs up. So this allows the facilitator to enable this feature for us. So when I click there, I can have already some votes there already. All right, so I'm just going to empty this for you to see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to click this gearbox once again, and this allows me to put a specific number of votes on each issue. Or you'll get a specified number of votes here. So these votes will be distributed throughout the whole entire ordeal of the issue section. So say, for example, I want to give every user in this meeting a 3 votes, right? So I'm going to hit save there if I made any changes, and then they can vote on the issue they want to talk about the most. So if the issue is very important to them and they're already getting looked over, they can put 3 votes there. And, if it lines up correctly, they can go into that issue depending on how many votes are in there. But they only get 3, so they can't push it anywhere else because we only have 3 votes allotted to them. So you can distribute those votes evenly if necessary, or you can put one in more spots or other. But this is a great way to get everyone's voices heard. Again, you will have to activate that in the settings feature on the toolbar, and then it will be only activated in your level 10 meeting by clicking the thumbs up. And then you can always reorder it by this clicking the actual votes to put it in a numerical order for you. And you can start the IDS process from there. And if it gets too elaborate, maybe everyone had the same amount of votes and everything, that's when the facilitator will step in and then use that other prioritization method to choose the issues they want to talk about first in reference to the team. Okay. So voting takes place during the meeting, only during the meeting. Okay. So don't maybe not give them so many votes initially until they get used to it. I would do that as a suggestion. So only during the meeting can they actually place votes. Again, use this more actions button to check how many votes each team member can have. The more votes you give them, the more time they're going to spend there. So just keep that in mind. I like to give them an odd number. If you give them an even number, usually it evens out to the team. So voting can only take place during the meeting. Okay. And it's just one other prioritization method to make sure that everyone's voice is heard, right? Well, other than that, so like I said before, no problem. And then from here, we're going to come down into the conclude section. Now, keep in mind, whenever I'm going back to IDs just real quick. So keep in mind, whenever you are resolving any of these issues, that checkbox is going to mark that off as complete. So when you get into the conclude section, you're going to have an opportunity here to close out all those things that you completed. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to uncheck this so I don't spam our boss for a meeting, a fake meeting anyway. And I'm going to close out that issue that we just resolved. I'm going to go ahead and click finish there, click OK, and click finish once again. So it brings us back to the landing page. Now, anytime I want to see exactly which issues were resolved, there's a past level 10 meeting here. I can click into the title there. I can see the issue that was resolved and created, things like that in this location. I can see the solve rate there too as well, things like that, if I ever need to dive back into it. When it comes to issues, say, for example, you archive the issue, you can't find it. There is an archive button in the top center there. So when I toggle this over to the right, any issues that I've archived will always be living in the space. You're never deleting the information. If you ever need to go back to it, clicking into the title, all the information associated with that issue will be in place. So you can always dive back into it if necessary. Okay. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the issue section. Any questions, comments, concerns hovering around it, feel free to ask me right now. I'll definitely be here to answer them for you. And just keep in mind, issues are derived not only from, what may be blocking you, but they can be things that you want to talk about within an organization. And they can be created from there too as well. So say, for example, just burn up time here. I'm going to go into the VTO, not a VTO, but the accountability chart here. We have a ton of seats and roles and responsibilities in association with those seats. If I have any type of issue here, I can address it in the meeting if necessary. So remember that more actions button. You'll find it in the top right-hand corner of most of these tools here. Just use that button to bring in all the information into the IDS section if you want to discuss it further with the team, because it's important to solve everything as a collaboration when it comes to issues. So when I make it an issue, it pulls in all the detail there so you don't have to reinvent that wheel. Type in whatever details you want in reference to the issue and make sure it's going to that specific team. And you can also tune now prioritize it prior to the meeting. So remember, we activated the prioritization method. This allows you to prioritize that issue prior to the meeting. So you don't burn as much time trying to figure out, hey, you know what? I'm going to prioritize this as a 3, 4, 5. I can do that right before the meeting. And then that facilitator can just line them up and then you can go down that list if necessary. Just make sure that you create the issue once you have it in place. Things that does not have an asterisk next to it, you can actually leave that blank. So don't even worry about that, but I'm going to go ahead and click on create issues. It brings it directly to the IDS section. And remember, it's not going to show up on the Mind 90 page. You can only view that information from the issue itself or through the level 10 meeting when you decide to conduct it with your team. But other than that, looks like no other questions are coming in. This information will be listed in the YouTube channel. So I'll have that information out for you all too as well. Oh, we got another question. Random question is 90. Consider it's a certification program for users to improve their proficiency. Hoping someday you can offer this. Yeah, I know that's on the back burner. So it may be already implemented. I can definitely find out, and I'll leave it in the description. I'm gonna send an email here to everybody too as well about the webinar. And if I have any information on that, I'll definitely present that in the email for you. But I know that is something that they want to do to kind of show the knowledge of it. But we do have other tools that you can utilize, like assessments tools too as well. And then I'll link that in there too as well, so you can have that for your reference. Make a note of that. But yeah, that would be kind of cool to like have that passed out here. All right. Any other questions before I let you all go? If not, like I said before, I'm available every single week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we go over all the tools here in the software. We do have cohorts, things like that you can follow up on. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I will definitely be here to help. CSMs are there for you too as well. And other than that, have a great rest of your week, and thanks for attending this webinar. Bye-bye.